armor of any form. So she will deal more damage whenever she has any form of armor on her, potentially ranking faces even harder than she normally does already. But yeah, sorry by the way guys for the short disconnect here. Maiev just quickly decided to take vengeance upon us, but we're back now. We're not Illidan. Maiev, wrong target. Please don't haunt us again.
Illidan is bad, Maiev.
Yeah.
Calm down, please. As we see Cassia once again rejoining the fight, this time though on the side of RPG, and they have the Blaze to go with it. They've got a solid solo laner, they have a solid finisher, and they have a solid poker. Very cool.
Yeah, really cool indeed. And Blaze is one of those heroes that really has made a strong impact on the competitive scene right at the get-go. While he wasn't really the hottest hero when he was initially released, after a couple of buffs here and there, he really turned out to be that superior offlaner, sometimes main tank, and Bunker in particular is so cool. We've seen an insane amount of Bunker micro plays in all regions almost, and the amount of plays you can bait or cooldowns you can bait from the enemy team only to hop in the bunker and out again is just always a pleasure to watch.
That it is. Now, RPG, what are they going to ban out? With Rhaegar stolen away from them, very clutch move by TimeFlow, removing cleanse heroes. Going to give them a lot of mobility. If they pick very high CC tanks now, then Maiev is going to have a marvelous time, say an ETC or even a Nubrak, something like that. And some follow. So RPG, they realize that's probably going to be what's happening to them. So instead of banning tanks, where there's so many options, they instead ban the follow-up damage, the Anubrak. Very solid choice here.
So I really think we're going to see a W build Uther this game, by the way, because if you complete the level 1 quest, you're going to have an armor increase or armor duration increase of 1 second. And this could also combo off so well with the armored assault. As we said earlier, Maiev, whenever she takes any form of armor onto herself at level 16, her physical damage, excuse me, is going to be increased by 20%. So strong auto attacks, strong Ws as well, and I just can't wait to see how this combo is going to come out swinging here later on. However, though, go ahead.
I almost completely agree with you. I think that the Wave of Light could be really, really solid. The other option, I would say, I will give a little bit of credence over to Silver Touch. I still think it will be Wave of Light, but Silver Touch could be the play if Maiev plans on diving back.
Right.
Uther will need to keep up with her, and the extra range could be the play.
Definitely true, and we mentioned Maia's physical damage. I think RPG responded pretty well against that. Cassia being chosen here, she takes a little bit of, reduce, actually not just a little bit, she takes significantly less damage from all those physical damage sources. However, now we also have strong ability damage in the mix with Hanzo poking a Cassia from a large distance, using his superior range to basically make life a really, really miserable time for her. I'm not sure about the Johanna though, Tetra. We have a very, let's say, ambiguous time casting Johanna in those days.
Yeah, solo tank Johanna has been the issue.
Most likely.
TimeFlow are open for a second tank, and they do need a solo laner. A Dahaka or a Leoric or something like that would kind of fit in the role. Maiev can solo lane, but it's a little bit less than ideal. She lacks the self-sustain that a solo laner would ideally have.
Yeah.
For now, though, RPG. What other responses do they have? Something to dive the Hanzo might be reasonable. Hanzo, once again, has been significantly nerfed since we last at HGC China.
True.
No, it's a solo support Lily. And we see the Muradin as the second tank. That is a beefy front line, which is going to take a lot of work off of Lily's back.
Yeah, very true, very true. We see a solo support Lily. Of course, the blinds will have tremendous synergy with Cassia, because she gains extra damage from any blind, not just her own blinds.
That's an excellent point. And look at the damage dealers from the side of TimeFlow. Maiev, physical damage with a bit of ability power with the Fan of Knives, which even that does physical damage. I don't think the blind will stop that though. We have Tychus picked up to deal with that incredibly beefy front line coming in from RPG. Very solid pick, Lily blinds. And of course, we have the Hanzo, which might outrange the Lily, but if Lily can get in range, the blinds will be very effective unless Hanzo goes for a scatter arrow build, which isn't as valuable on this map.
Lily could also go for a cleanse if the team really requires it. Against the Maiev, against an Uther, against the Johanna, this could actually be a golden tool to keep a target safe and sound. But It is just such a weird pick. I mean, Lily has always been that sleeper hero that some teams like to buzz out to mixed results. It either shines and everybody is going to be like, wait, what had just happened? Or it could fail miserably and everybody's like, yep, told you so.
But Kendrick clearly got buffed when all the other supports got nerfed. She's clearly the best. There's always the issue, everyone, of Lily can't target her heals.
Yeah.
One way she can do that is by picking Cleanse, which actually does heal. So she has to work around that. This is why you pick those beefy frontliners. There was probably a good chance of them, even if they weren't going for Muradin, if Johanna hadn't been stolen, they probably would have gone for that. Another tank who isn't as dependent on the heals of Lily, so they could have got the extra blinds in that way as well, and given Lily the freedom to protect the backline.
So Lily is probably going to go for the Jugs at level 10, which provides her with decent AoE healing, and that one doesn't even need to be targeted because it automatically hits targets in her vicinity. However, she's going to have to be really on top here with her positioning. By the way, TimeFlow, sorry, we totally whiffed the introduction here, but let me just finish my Lily thought because I think it's really crucial to make this point here. With the Jugs, you need to be able to dodge a Hanzo arrow, you need to be able to dodge a Johanna, it could be her W or the Blessed Shield, Uther stuns, so it's going to be pretty interesting for Lily to see how she's going to play it and how well she's going to be able to position herself in those team fights.
Yes, she will. Immediate scatter arrow stacks, as it is the scatter arrow build coming in for Hanzo. Not going to be able to get mercenary value, but at least he's not going to be affected as much by the blind. Blaze with the unstoppable talent at level 1. Very nice here. Going to make it much harder for him to get locked down. Once again, taking work off of Lily's shoulders. Lily starting off with 3 drinks. Healing Brew's cooldown is reduced by 1 second, and its mana cost is refunded if it heals a hero that is under 50% health.
Alright, so here we go. Yeah, Hanzo's nerfs, or changes I should say, are definitely very important to mention here. Especially the armor reduction has been nerfed multiple times. Redemption as a result, not really the standard go-to choice in all games anymore. Instead, we see a lot of Q builds actually in Hero League right now. If you're playing in the higher echelons, you will see many Hanzo players go for the explosive arrow and other Q-related talents right now. And even the W build now actually has its use. Now on this map, I think it's not really as efficient as on other ones, especially if you go full W build because there are no bosses per se. But still, if you manage to sneak away the healing upgrade or one of those turrets very quickly, you could still get some decent value.
Speaking of Qs and W builds, by the way, as Infinite takes a lot of damage, but is able to back up. But like I said, speaking of Q and W builds, we are seeing the Q build coming in from Cassia once again. That Javelin build seems to be the go-to, the Lightning Fury, these days in China, from the 2-game sample size that we have been able to see so far. And speaking of W builds, not Nisha's Memento. It is the Bonds of Justice that we see Maiev starting with. If she's able to get those cleaves and pull secondary targets, then that will stack up and increase the damage infinitely, in fact.
Yeah, I think we've seen Maiev being played in the European Open Division, haven't we, Tetris? So what was the go-to build on Maiev there for the most part? Do you remember?
I do. It was Nisha's Memento, Blade Dance, I'm pretty sure was the level 4, was the level 7. 10 was kind of adjusted, but mostly Borden's Cage.
Gotcha.
The Shadow Armor, and then the Armored Assault. So the Armored Assault part was still pretty similar, and then she pretty much never got to 20, but when it was Shadow Strike. So the kind of build you'd expect to see on Hero League a lot more. So as such, still going for the physical blade, the physical fan of knives damage at level 4. So at least that's the same.
Yeah, that of course works splendidly with the Armored Assault at 16 there as well. So one thing I want to go back to here is once again comparing supports here on this battleground. Volskaya Foundry oftentimes... Oh, never mind, Murden. If only he had found Hanzo there. He was getting quite low from doing the mercenary campaign. But they find Tychus, they slow him, they stun him, and they kill him. Very nicely done by RPG. First blood.
Nice EC train, and like you said, a very slow and methodical first blood. Took them a while to actually get that much damage and get the kill.
Yeah, so comparing supports I think is very important, or just taking a look at supports altogether in this battleground, because it could oftentimes be a war of attrition here. Whoever loses their mana first is probably going to have to retreat, and that could oftentimes means that could oftentimes mean the Protectors going over to the other team. Now, Uther is a very mana-hungry support. And if you manage to just poke and skirmish, pull back, wait until he goes and then come back, you could actually outpower the enemy team. Big Swift Strike here from Locktar, by the way. Whereas on the other side, Lily normally isn't as mana hungry. She has more reserves and is as such more sustained healing. So maybe that's going to be the route for RPG to fight those objectives here. Let's see.
And you can see Lily, look at her mana. A big part of this is because she's mostly been healing Infinite here, who has been on less than half health, which means those 3 drinks are refunding the mana cost. And once again, keeping that mana high. However, the healing is still a little bit too slow. Lily not being able to activate her trait enough here to just spam out those heals as much as she would like.
Now let's see, Genji actually went back all the way. He was getting chunked too high. And oftentimes going back, taking Healing Fountain or just healing altogether will really relieve and put away a lot of stress from your support's shoulders. So I like this move. 45, 47% now in favor of TimeFlow. Let's see if they can catch up. But now everyone on the side of RPG is coming back fully rejuvenated. Look at F-Show's mana bar. Very low. Uther can no longer sustain his team.
Cat takes a pretty big hit, having to move back here after that much damage. Timeless takes a little wrap around, looks for his opportunity. Johanna trying to group everyone up to combo with that Maiev Cleave. Not getting it though, as the damage output being got Blaze from the side. Beautiful bullet, that's what they were looking for. Timeless moving in again with the teleport. Locktar is the target. Locktar's looking for Cat, but can't see him, so he doesn't hit the Swift Strike. He is now seriously far back, dashes into danger, taken out by Maiev. Chicken will drop 2. The healing from Sar, not enough.
Gets another one.
Gets taken out as well.
Wow, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is the power of Maiev. If you don't position yourselves away from each other so that you won't give an instant cooldown reset on her Fan of Knives, it is going to be lights out. And Timeless just played it so well. He was patiently waiting until he could get reset, and then, of course, a lot of pulls here with the Umbral Blade as well. Super well done. This is exactly what TimeFlow needed.
And you can see the replay of that. A lovely move in by RPG. They find the choke point and think they can make something out of it. Blaze looking for the charge, but at that point, after the pull from Maiev has happened, there's very little they could do. Cat, if he'd been engaged up by Locktar, Locktar would have put up a kill, and even that wouldn't have been enough to even it up.
Exactly. It's just amazing to see how Timeless was able to get a hit of his Q on more than one person all the time. I don't even know how many resets he got, but it was many. Infinity, though. Holy macaroni. That was close. If you get hit by any more protective spells at this rate, you're a goner. Especially Cassie needs to be so... Just dodge it already! Cassie, you don't have magic armor. It's only physical armor.
Squint, you fools! As we do see just the consistent damage from the Protector. Once again, like you said, it gets that increased boost when there are 2 people in it. It will finally drop down via duration or via health here. Both were pretty much even. But that's still an entire fort, and right now, thanks to a Dragon Strike, the entire front wall.
Okay.
Sure.
I mean, Dragon Strike could actually work out here. I think if you take a look at the Warden's Cage, exactly, people could get bounced back into the Dragon's Arrow. It adds so much more AoE damage to the already crazy AoE damage value from Maiev as well. I think they could really dominate those objective fights in the longer run. So this is one of those few games where I'm actually, you know, Dragon Strike could maybe work out just fine. I'm not going to complain too much.
Yeah, I'm also digging it, and I'm also digging the Johanna holding her heroic here. Very curious, Johanna. F-Show, what do you have for us, friend?
Falling Sword into the Warden's Cage?
It sounds amazing. I've never seen it for obvious reasons, but it does sound like it would be absolutely amazing.
So let's see what
it is.
it is!
Sword.
China, you glorious nation, you glorious region, please continue to do this to us.
Kendrick, I'm so
It was used immediately.
It is used immediately, looking for Infinite here, trying to finish him off. The damage output, though, not able to get the kill. That physical armor after the stun onto Cassia. Not enough to finish the kill, gets demounted here as they are moving in. Wang to get a lot of damage. She's trying to escape on the conveyor belt here. Not the best escape route here. But the damage output from RPG, also not enough. They're a level behind, 2 levels behind, in fact. They're moving in, looking to try and get a kill. Nice stun. Looking for the kill on F-Show. because it is actually not F-Show on the tank. It is a 2-y here as Infinite gets shredded by Tychus. Great value. Here's the Dragon Strike. Split.
Slowly.
Grenade, not enough. Oh my god, the scatter arrow. But he does survive, barely.
Actually, if Dragon's Arrow had been aimed a little more towards the conveyor belts, maybe they could have actually gotten the kill. It was aimed a little bit too far to the south. Actually, I think the name of the game for TimeFlow right now is to blow up Cassia with as much ability damage as possible. The Falling Sword, the Dragon Strike, and of course, Maiev there as well. They're going to have to say about this as well now. Oh, never mind, that is Genji.
Yeah, Lili tried to cleanse him, but the damage output was just too much as TimeFlow are just shredding this fight. They are looking good. Odin is popped. They're pushing in aggressively, trying to get some value. It's a fight of blinds as both teams drop them, but the Odin siege damage is just too much for RPG to deal with. This will likely kill off the entire front wall.
Normally, Lili should never be able to reach an Odin to blind him, because Odin is standing on one end of the team fight and Lili is standing on the other. So the blinds of Lili are good, sure, but oftentimes what players seem to forget is the fact that her range is not global. I mean, she can't really blind the targets she needs to. Sometimes she can't heal the targets she needs to, and that is what makes Lili such an unreliable character in most fights, in most games. So up to this point, Tetra, I hate to say it, but I think the Lili, didn't pay off.
I am curious how many stacks of In the Rhythm Tychus has, because that might be something that would help this a little bit, with the blinds would deal with, but I agree with you, right now, it's not really showing up. But this also does explain the Umbral Bind coming in instead of the nice Memento. Warden's Cage coming in, Falling Sword! All the members except for Blaze. The bunker value though, Wang tries to get to the bunker, but the slows are too much. Lili flees, she makes it behind the wall. But the damage output, you can see those stars falling from above. That is the level 4 on the Blade Dance there coming in. The Fan of Knives from Maiev, just dropping so much damage.
Yeah, and this just made me feel warm on the inside here. It was picture-perfect execution by TimeFlow. The healing upgrade, they waited patiently here for the Warden's Cage, then they dropped the hammer with a Falling Sword and a Dragon Strike, actually killing 2 people. Dragon Strike dealing damage, Tetra, and when it does, it is good. It is good to behold. Odin was on cooldown, but they didn't even need it. Divine Shield, Uther not even breaking a sweat here. This is all going the way TimeFlow wanted it to go.
The desperate attempt at a counter fight coming in from RPG as we do see Cassia. Nice juggle with the bunker there, but she's very low. She has to now stay at the back and gain value out of that javelin talent she's got. Falling Sword as the escape tool. Cassia is not able to pick up the kill and Johanna is gone. The objective though, still channeling. Last ditch effort by the looks of it coming in from RPG to defend this.
And if we thought that Falling Sword was only good for killing people, it is also a really solid escape. We saw the flexibility, the diversity of a 2-y here. In the meantime, Blaze under a lot of trouble. The Odin is chasing him down relentlessly. Genji just barely making it out alive. Here comes the Jugs, though. Can RPG actually continue the fight? It doesn't look like it. The poke is too strong for Hanzo.
They even juggle with the bunker a bit with the small duration it has left just to grab any armor just in case there was a rogue Tychus grenade or anything like that coming in. But this is a destructive showing by TimeFlow here. The Maiev also completely changing up the build except for the level 4s and 7s. Even at level 13 going for a talent that is a little bit rarer, Chain Gang. It's still pretty good, not going for Shadow Armor or the Bladed... Oh, no, sorry, it's Bladed Armor that she went for. So, continuing with this Q build, and then Cruel Chains, the reduction of the enemy armor coming in here. Oh, no, sorry, no, it's damaging chain targets. It increases the damage of the pull, which is very fair. It's the Wombo build.
The Dragon Blade has been unleashed, but they're not even near level 20 just yet, so it's just a normal one, and Genji already has to disengage. Look at the power of the 2-man protector. It is just hammering and pounding on that middle keep, and with RPG being 3 levels, almost 4 behind, I don't think there's much they can do to keep their enemies at bay, and boom! There goes Cassia. Get out of my way, says the protector.
Yeah. With that kill, that might be the end of the game. The Protector does not have a huge amount of health, so it looks like they will back up. Not able to just go in and end the game here, but they're looking pretty good. It's going to take a lot of potential unnecessary deaths for TimeFlow to not win this. They trade one mech for another as the Protector goes down. In comes the Odin as they siege their second keep of the game. Loktar able to dodge the Dragon Strike though, so that is a heroic burn. There's the pull onto Genji. He makes that before the Warden's Cage, but there is the Falling Sword onto pretty much just Wang. He doesn't make it to the bunker again.
Yeah, it really looks like RPG is not on the same page in this game. They failed to use the bunker in time. They are not really doing such a good job in terms of dodging, protector abilities. Nice dodge here, by the way, by Genji, using his deflect to prevent the death from Hanzo. So yeah, it's just really tough for RPG at this point because it feels like not only did they get outdrafted, but they're also getting outclassed individually here in this game. It's now 18 to 14. They had a 5-level disadvantage. They're down 2 keeps. It's looking mighty grim for RPG here.
Yeah, Blaze has desperately been trying to help his team by just dropping some kind of poke damage with a Q build, trying to reduce the spell power of the enemies. It's not working. It is not going in their favor that much at all at this point. And as such, they continue to be significantly further behind. Even Cassia mixing up the builds a little bit here. Level 13 not going for either of the Q talents. Instead, the lunging strike, the increased range and area and duration of fend.
The thing is, Tetcher, at this point, I'm heavily questioning the fact whether Cassia ever wants to stand still using a fend. To be honest, there is so much ability damage, so much dangerous CC as well, that only one misstep could really mean the end of you. Now, trait being used by Blaze, getting a little bit of tankiness here, healing up. Infinity in so much trouble. Cassia's gone as we jinxed her, and now the bunker save is nice by Chicken, but can they hold the onslaught of TimeFlow? That is the question.
If the jugs aren't enough to protect you, then what can? As Wang goes down, Loktar has nowhere to go, and we're going to see the core get sieged here. The zoning Dragon Strike prevented any assistance. There's the bio healer and the turret dropped here, both of the items, and we're going to see TimeFlow taking down the core and taking game number 2. It's a best of 5, remember, even up the score to 1-1.
Double turrets taking all the aggro from the core so the heroes of TimeFlow can attack it unharmed. And ladies and gentlemen, we have a 1-1 on our hands here. The series is tied and open again. It's a best of 5, 1-1. RPG not nearly looking as strong as they did in the last game, but I would have to put the blame onto the draft here, Tetcher. Not convincing me at all. Not just the Lily, but all together, their team composition just looked a little bit helpless, a little clueless at point.
Yeah, that was a much rougher draft than the last time. Very